Hey everyone, it's Becca here, leader of the Scrunchy Squad, and you're listening to the Wrestling with Entertainment podcast.
This is Little Mean Kathleen, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is Big Scary Ontario independent pro wrestler Holden Albright, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Dear lovers, this is the real life Cupid, and you're here with Wrestling with Entertainment. Love, Doug.
Hi, this is Not America's Sweetheart Davian, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, everything in between, every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J, alongside the leader of Squad, Gr8ful Yardy.
I feel like this is the first meeting I don't like coming to right now because I'm a little ticked off.
The American Scooter Dust.
I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm like dummy thick, and the clap of my ass cheek keeps alerting the guards.
And our special guest from the Gr8ful Yardy Podcast, Drew.
Hi, my name is Drew, and I'm a WrestleHolic.
And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Wrestling with Mania Madness Tournament Finals. We're here. It was an incredible tournament filled
No, it wasn't.
with
Speak your mind, Kaliko. Speak your mind.
yeah, just be hating because, of course, me and Scooter are once again in the finals.
Because it's rigged. You guys are the bookers. That's why. You booked yourself on top.
No, we're members of QAnon, that's why.
Oh, I see.
But despite one of us winning this tournament, we have decided to watch both matches, give you that extra match, and induct both of these incredible matches into the Wrestling with Entertainment Hall of Fame, our first two inductees.
Well, one of them was an incredible match. The second one, everybody just remember the damn intro.
And the two matches we're talking about is Bret Hart and Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10. That was Scooter's pick, and of course, Stone Cold versus The Rock from WrestleMania 17. So, for everybody watching, it's time to whip out that Peacock. Also, fire up the Peacock.
It's so big.
Get out your DVDs, your VHSs, your Betamaxes.
Your abacuses.
And you want to go to WrestleMania 10, that's WrestleMania Season 10, Episode 1. And you want to go to 7 minutes and 19 seconds.
If you go to 720, you'll explode.
Well, give or take. And I'm going to count you down from 3 to 1. And when I say 1, you're going to press play. Are you ready? Hey, we're ready.
Oh, ready.
No.
And 3, 2, 1.
Like, I miss Owen Hart. Like, real talk. I miss him.
Oh,
Like,
God, yeah.
like this guy was everything. Like in the ring, character wise, obviously to me, he was way better than Bret Hart. And I'm talking as a Canadian, and these guys obviously are royalty here in Canada. Like when Owen Hart passed away, it was on every single news outlet. When it happened, every single, from major television news to sports, it was on everything when he passed away.
It was breaking news here in the States too. It literally interrupted. Well, actually, the 10 o'clock news was going on most stations, but they broke in with it.
That to me just shows how over this guy was, even in his short period of time. That for me, I even saw him, because this is happening in what 1994 WrestleMania 10's going on.
Yes, March 20th, 1994.
94. Okay, so I'm at this point, I'm gonna date myself. I'm grade 8 at this point. So I'm like 12, 13 years old watching this match. And going back and watching it now with you guys, with a better, more adult eyes and more years of watching professional wrestling, this is just a clinic on how to storytell in the ring. Just simple maneuvers, like what we're seeing right now, where he's trapping the arm, and it's just a simple maneuver, but it carries so much weight. And these guys' facial expressions and everything just plays into this match so greatly. And this was the opening match, and a lot of people don't even talk about this match. Everybody's going to talk about, obviously, it's Razor Ramon and Shawn, the ladder match, but this match, you could put this match up there as one of the best ever in a WrestleMania. But it's not.
Yeah. Without doubt, I was there.
You were in the Garden when this was going on.
Yep.
I remember watching this on, I believe this was the first WrestleMania my parents actually sprung out and bought. So I was the only wrestling fan in my house at the time. So I pretty much begged my parents to buy this WrestleMania, and they did. So I sat there in front of the TV watching this in awe. But going back as a 40-year-old man and the amount of years of watching wrestling, this is smart psychology, telling us a story, like I said before, in ring, two brothers. Like, we don't get these kind of things nowadays in wrestling, where it's just simple booking. Two brothers trying to prove who's better than whom. It's no over-the-top crazy gimmicks. It's just, I want to show that I'm better than you. I'm the younger brother. You're the older brother. You probably have beaten me so many times, but I'm here to prove that I'm on the same level as you. And again, we're in a simple hold, and we're just telling the story, selling the arm.
Well, we're at the introductions.
Well, a couple of things. One, I think it's easy because it's relatable. I think everyone had a relative that they couldn't stand that would beat their ass, and you like, bitch, I'm better than you. Come on, man. And secondly, Scooter, tell us those prices for the tickets for WrestleMania 10, because I bet they were fucking pennies compared to what.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. My uncle bought them. I remember I'm only like 9 or I was just 9 at this point. You also have to take into account what would have been had certain things gone another way, because the alternative to this would have been Lex Luger against Crush.
Oh,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that Lex Luger spilling the beans the night before, that's assumed to be a legit story, but you also have to take
Kabuki at best.
You have to take into account the fact that Owen Hart received really no push as a face up until until he turned heel and got the push that way. So,
You mean to tell me he didn't have any high energy?
I kind of feel like Owen was never really appreciated in WWE. And, they used to give him a lot of bad situations. And he always made chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, you could throw anything at him and he made it work. And, that's so rare in pro wrestling, especially today. And unfortunately, he never got that main event push that I think we all kind of wanted.
I mean,
James, go ahead, Kaliko.
You could say that, but I think it was one of those things where Owen, and it was not Owen's fault. I feel like it's more timing, because you forget he was there from the crossover, and he stayed from the crossover of the new generation to the Attitude Era. So that twist, it's hard. Even though Owen did his thing in the Attitude Era, it was hard to separate new generation Owen from Attitude Owen. You see what I'm saying?
I can make an argument that he had attitude before Attitude Era started. I mean, this is 94, and he kind of already seems like he belongs in Attitude Era. I mean,
But when the new generation, this was when the smaller guys were kind of getting a lot of that shine. And keep in mind, I think it's just a lot of other people kind of came, and it didn't give him time to shine, because Diesel, Bret, Shawn, and then finally when those were fading away, Michaels, Austin, Rock, Triple H. You know what I'm saying? So It was like breaking through was going to be hard either way.
I mean, this is also the first Mania without Hogan. They're in the middle of the trial.
The steroid scandal stuff is going on at this point.
Yeah.
And as of this moment, there's no rumors that Hogan is gonna sign with WCW.
No, we don't know that. We think he's off in Hollywood doing Thunder in Paradise and all that stuff. Because I think he signed. Sorry?
I was gonna say Baywatch 8.
Oh yeah, Baywatch 8. Yeah. Oh yeah. Because when does Hogan sign? That's 94 summer with WCW?
June.
Okay, so this is March. So obviously WWE is going in a way different direction. They're not showing you. They're still doing that kid-friendly, gimmicky kind of stuff. But this match is kind of giving you the precursor, and same with the ladder match, of what the Attitude Era ends up being, where we are more realistic based. We are more telling you stories with real characters instead of the Goon or the Gobbledygook or and stuff like that. So what James was saying, that Owen had attitude, yeah, but as Kaliko also said, it was timing, because he's leaving coming into the new generation, what was Diesel, Shawn, Bret, pretty much the clique, and then those guys go away in 96 and go to WCW, and then Vince is scrambling around to find the next group of stars, because at that point, who does he have in 96? He still has Bret, he still has Shawn. We bring in Austin as the ringmaster. Mick Foley just showed up as Mankind. Vader. Taker's still there. So, and it was a lot of moving pieces at that point in time. But to be honest with you, if timing was on his side, do you guys think that Owen could ever have been like WWE champion?
Yes, absolutely. I think
I felt like 94 was his best shot.
I don't think
I agree with you,
94
Nico.
was his best shot.
It was his best shot because him beating Bret and then Bret winning the title made it way more believable that he could beat him at that point than any other point.
I think
That's why when they had that cage match, it was like, in SummerSlam, it was like, oh shit, because in the back of your mind, you remember that he beat him. And then Owen goes on and becomes King of the Ring that year.
Mhm.
So he was on a roll. And I'm not saying that he probably wouldn't have been. I felt like he was more of the anchor anyway, because keep in mind, like, after Bret got screwed, he could have left and he stayed.
Yeah, true.
So to me, yeah, did he get the title? No, but I could bet you bottom dollar he got taken care of.
Of course he did. It's like the guys in the 80s, to be honest with you. If you look at the guys that never won world championships in the 80s in the WWF at the time, you had $1 Million Man could have been WWF champion.
He was.
he technically
Yeah,
was.
like a legitimate run at the title.
No, he had a legitimate run. And the reason I say it because he defended the title in San Diego, which is like
Okay. I was mistaken, but I'm just saying there was a bunch of guys in the 80s. Roddy Piper could have been champion. Jake the Snake Roberts could have been champion.
Jake never wanted it,
but they didn't want it. That's the thing. And maybe just maybe, because we don't know, maybe Owen didn't want it either. Maybe Owen didn't want to be world champion.
That's a good possibility.
But if you're Vince, wouldn't the idea of making Owen champion out of spite pop into your head?
It would, and it would have if you were looking to be, if you were building that Mr. McMahon character and needed somebody to be the foil. Yeah, of course, Owen Hart would have been perfect.
But unfortunately, that was timing again, because
that's timing.
That was exactly the exact same time they were crowning Stone Cold as the face of the company.
Yeah, Yeah, it's timing.
Yeah,
and given the legendary feud between Owen and Austin, a lot of people tend to forget the main event of No Way Out 1998, which had Owen teaming with Austin.
Yes.
Against DX and Savio Vega.
Mm-hmm.
And this rivalry wasn't supposed
to. No, it was DX and the New Age Outlaws.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but
before they were members of the actual members of DX,
yes.
It was Owen, Austin, Cactus Jack, and Chainsaw Charlie against Michaels, Triple H, and New Age Outlaws.
No, Shawn Michaels was not in that match because he was injured.
Oh yeah, that's right. Salvio replaced him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this match wasn't technically supposed to happen. Bruce Hart, when he came for Survivor Series the year prior, actually pitched the idea to have a rivalry with Bret. And when Vince brought that to Bret, he was like, I would rather do the rivalry with Owen. I would think Owen would be a better match. And ultimately, Vince McMahon went with Owen rather than Bruce.
I mean, because also you have to understand, if you're not a Stampede Wrestling fan, you don't know who Bruce Hart is.
Exactly.
Survivor Series 93.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make the argument you would still not know.
There's a lot of Hart people, a lot of the Hart family that a lot of people don't know because they didn't get their just due or comeuppance in fame. Plus, didn't Vince buy Stampede Wrestling when he was doing his whole takeover of territories in the 80s?
Did he buy Stampede?
Because I remember before Bret went to the WWF with Neidhart, they were running shows. still with
Yeah, I
Stampede.
think he did. I think he did. I think he did, or he bailed him out.
Either he bought them or he bailed them out. One of the two.
Yeah, I believe he bought out Frank Tunney.
Frank Tunney is from Toronto. That's
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Wrestling.
That's it. He bought it. That's who he bought out. Maple Leaf.
Yeah, that's Maple Leaf Wrestling. Because Jack Tunney becomes like the de facto president of the WWF in the 80s.
Right.
But he did run Maple Leaf Wrestling out of Maple Leaf Gardens for many years. Many years. Like I remember in the 80s, like I would say at least 2 shows a month would be at Maple Leaf Gardens from WWF, and all the major names would come. And then I think they stopped running Maple Leaf Gardens in, I want to say 1995.
Yeah.
They stopped running Maple Leaf Gardens.
I gotta say, Owen with the tombstone.
I cringed a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus the fact this is one of the few WrestleManias with no Undertaker.
Yes.
Yes. 10 and 16. And if we're going super late, 35.
Yeah.
Plus, taking a look at the opening of the match, which we're way past at this point, but Bret trying to end it as soon as possible, knowing what's ahead of him, because this is a situation where Bret, it's only negative for Bret, really, because Bret's got a match regardless later on in the night.
Right.
So
yeah, he's playing double duty. So of course,
so this is his Randy Savage moment.
Yes.
So Owen trying to, make it stay in it as long as possible to try and wear Bret out, and even get that victory, and just it's all that in-ring psychology that
yes
that nobody really talks about when thinking about this match.
It's the story.
Continue.
It's the story. It's the storytelling and the in-ring psychology that when you look at matches even now, I feel like the guys and girls now don't have that kind of in-ring psychology to actually tell you a story within the move sets that they do. Everything has to be high spot, high spot, high spot, high spot, high spot. Where these guys are doing simple wrestling maneuvers, arm drag, arm twists, stuff like that. And it looks so believable that you're like focusing on a body part.
And just as you said that, Bret Hart did a high spot to the outside.
Well.
It's funny. I just had a what if, because we were talking about Owen and '94 being his best shot. What if it was Owen that beat Bret at Survivor Series instead of Bob Backlund? Because Owen was just as involved in that match instead of, and that's where I felt like that should have been it. Because if you were going to transition into Diesel anyway, Owen's the champ, Diesel winning at Rumble, he and that keeps going.
Actually, I believe that that actually came to be because of contractual obligations.
Really?
I believe Backlund was promised one more championship reign and then when Vince realized how boring Backlund really was.
Yeah.
But I also think the only reason it seemed funky to me, because why would Owen be involved? Owen being involved in the Bret Backlund match, and instead of Bret going after Owen, who tricked his mom into throwing in the towel. He goes after Backlund. Like, that's where it was like, huh?
Well, this is
Yeah.
the first match on this WrestleMania card. The other ones are the match after this. Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon defeats Doink the Clown and Dink the Clown. That's a main event in the Tokyo Dome if I ever heard one. Randy Savage defeated Crush in a False Count Anywhere match. Alundra Blaze defeated Lalani Kai. Men on a Mission defeated the Quebecers by countout. Yokozuna defeated Lex Luger by disqualification.
Now, before you continue, that's something very odd because usually you don't see that a count out followed up by a disqualification.
Notification. You don't see that. No, you're right. That's a rare thing.
Earthquake defeated Adam Bomb. Razor Ramon defeated Shawn Michaels in the historic ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. And then Bret Hart defeated the Yokozuna to become the new WWF champion.
Which also, people thought it was really marking the return of Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And the talk of a Bret Piper rematch from WrestleMania 8, this time for the WWF Championship.
We got Jay Lolo instead, right?
Yeah, Jerry Piper and Lawler and King of the Ring 94, which was the main event.
Which was what?
Which was the main event of King of the Ring 94.
Yeah, it was the main event. Yep. The booking was very wacky in 1994 because we're coming out of the whole stuff with Hogan pretty much pigeonholing the company for like from WrestleMania 1 through 9. I think he's on every WrestleMania up until 9.
Yeah. And keep in mind, Vince McMahon is going through the steroid trials, so his mind isn't exactly all on pro wrestling at this very moment.
No, he's not.
I think Bill Watts was brought in to be a part of the company, and J.J. Dillon and Jerry Judd.
Bill Watts was brought in, I believe. Or was this WCW? He was brought in for a day and quit.
Yeah, that was WWE.
That was WWE. He brought in for a day and quit, and then he went to WCW and was doing all that crazy stuff, like taking away the mats and all that stuff. And we're not no cartoon guys. We're the hard hitting guys, and the guys hated him down in WCW. And then he got burnt out and left. And I think that's when Dusty Rhodes came back.
Bill Watts was also working with Herb Abrams in the UWF.
Yeah.
Almost around this time. But that big anticlimactic villain that's really responsible for everything, with WCW, Jim Herd.
Yeah.
From 91, the reason Flair left, and Arn Anderson comes back, and just.
A couple months ago, we were talking about if you could erase one person's career from WWE out of these 4 competitors, which was Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, and The Rock, a lot of people went right to Bret Hart, but I don't think people kind of appreciate how important Bret Hart is to pro wrestling, and not just the Montreal Screwjob, which kind of propelled WWE to the great heights that it is today. He was the chain reaction that's kind of started all that. But he has a lot of other contributions to pro wrestling as well. I mean, case in point, this match.
Yes, but the question was not about his in-ring contributions. It was about his title reign.
Yeah.
That's what the question was about.
And Owen with
I don't
the
know. You were saying you guys were talking about erasing those four. One of those four have to go.
yeah, one of those four had to be erased from history.
Well, Bret. The only reason you defend Bret because without Bret, the double turn doesn't happen. Michaels doesn't make it.
Now, take a look at this for a second. Owen has the sharpshooter locked in on the right leg. Therefore, it's not a sharpshooter.
Scorpion deadlock.
Let's look.
Yeah. And look at that. Bret taps. But tapping out was not a recognized form of submission.
That's right, because he won with the small package. He won with a package.
Victory roll.
Victory roll.
But you saw Bret do the same thing with the leg, and you notice how it looked so awkward. Not just because he was reversing it, that it just like it just looked like it just looked so out of place. But and here we go.
Yep. That's as clean as it gets. There was like no, shenanigans to get there.
The fact that Owen had his knees on Bret's shoulders, like this is your glasses fan at WrestleMania 30 moment. That Undertaker streak. I mean, this is a match you can go back, watch over and over again, and if you see that the reason why the camera pans away is Owen gave Bret the finger.
Yeah.
It was either that or he gave him a 3. I don't know.
On the feed I'm watching, he gave him he went to the ref away from the ropes just to make sure that it was a 3 count.
Yeah, but with Bret, he goes right in the center of the ring, and Bret just puts a hand in his face. We can't see because the camera's panning away. But again, take a look, and he almost as if he realizes Bret can get a shoulder up, he puts that knee down at the 2 count.
2 rounds, yeah.
Okay.
Then I can watch this match over and over and over again and find something new.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, you can watch it over and over again and see. Oh, well, I didn't notice that last time, or I saw that. Or this is his foot out of his foot promo, isn't it?
I mean, sadly, what could have been, what should have been, nothing more than a dream for the hopeless wrestling fan.
Yes, it is.
What a great match. And we will conclude this match here, and we will be getting set up for WrestleMania 17 in
a
moment.
7.
Okay, so now you want to go to WrestleMania Season 17, and you want to go to 3 hours, 1 minute, and 51 seconds into the event. I'm going to count you down from 3, 2, 1. On 1, you will press play. Are you ready? Oh, we're ready. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I gotta admit, that was a really cool graphic. The faces were in the nameplates of the belt, of the big The Big Eagle belt? Which one was that?
No. This was after the Winged Eagle. This
It
was
was
the
the-
first belt.
This was the new Winged Eagle belt.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was the new wing. This was
Yeah,
the
the
belt
new
that
wing.
Austin got right after the Winged Eagle belt that he took from Sean.
I believe it's called
Yeah.
the Big Eagle belt.
I
Big
believe
Eagle, yeah.
Big Eagle, yeah.
Let's talk about that
As
for a
much
second.
as I shit.
What
No, go ahead.
what belt is like your guys' favorite belts?
Ooh.
For me, it's the Winged Eagle. I like the Winged Eagle belt,
It's a classic.
and the undisputed title, the one before the spinner belt.
Yeah, that one. That I think that's my favorite.
I always like the Intercontinental, the way it was built. Like it just looked important.
And they also gave it multicolored straps
Yeah, I like that too.
on who had it.
Yeah. I think that belt was like, oh. When I saw Sean with it, I'm like, gotta have it.
You know, a while ago, and I still keep in touch with him. He had a guy, a friend who found me through the remix, and his name was Beltmark Bill, and he had series on YouTube. He literally has almost every belt and does a retrospective on them.
Wow.
God, what would be mine? You know what? I'm probably gonna catch a lot of flack here, but I have a particular love for the 30 pounds of gold.
The big gold belt?
Big Gold.
Yep. The World Heavyweight Championship, the NWA International Championship, the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, whatever you want to call it.
That is a good looking belt. I wouldn't give you flack for that. That is a legitimately very nice looking belt.
Now this what they're showing right now, the toast on SmackDown. Best follow through to a WrestleMania ever. There was so much passive aggressive animosity towards them.
Well,
the best way to lead into the match.
You also have to realize that just days before, the biggest defeat in wrestling ever happened.
That's right.
With the Monday Night Wars.
Yeah,
That's right.
Monday Night Wars just ended. Yeah.
It was that Monday, the Monday prior, and this slugfest between The Rock and Austin was Thursday before Mania.
I ain't even gonna lie, as much as I shit on this match, this was like the first WrestleMania where when we bought it, the whole hood was in the house watching this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the block party watching this fucking match.
Yeah, man.
Hey, don't pretend like you don't like that Olympic skit song. And don't pretend like that whole intro to the match isn't on your playlist.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. It is. It's on
I'm
mine.
not saying it ain't. I bought the chocolate starfish and hot dog flavored
Same
water
here.
album with
I bought the album same time. As soon as this match came out and that song came on, I bought the darn CD.
Yeah, so don't get it twisted. But I'm just saying that it's not their best match, but it was a match where, because I felt like this was probably, because think about it, 15
was what was
it just felt like Ali Frazier.
You know, I don't really
It
like
felt
the
like
one
a
at 15.
Hogan Andre.
The one at 15 was just kind of clustery and gaga.
And 15 had a clear heel, clear face. Here they're both faces.
They're both faces. This is like a WrestleMania 6 kind of feel to it with Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. It didn't matter who you cheered for. It's just the build to it. Even that little sit down interview that they did and they didn't do any physicality. They just spoke about their feelings. And when Austin's like, I need to win the WWE title, a lot of people in my friend group at the time were like, man, I have this feeling that Austin's going to turn heel, man. I just have this feeling. And then the rest of us are like, nah, man, Austin's never going to turn heel. Who are he going to turn and be with Vince McMahon or something? And one of my boys were like, yeah, dog, he's going to turn and be with Vince McMahon. Trust me. So I'm spoiling the match, but
No,
you know what I mean? But it's just
the match is 20 years old. I think it's spoiled already.
I know, but all I'm saying is that we, at that point in time, were so invested in these two characters. That's why it didn't matter if one was heel, one was face. If they were both faces, it didn't matter. We were just invested. It was like you were Team Rock or you were Team Austin or you liked them both. It didn't matter. You just were interested in anything that they did. And the build to this match, the video packages they put together for it, the song they used, it fit perfectly, but this isn't their best match.
Now keep in mind that this is in Houston, Texas, which is not too far from where Stone Cold is from. So this was essentially like the CM Punk Cena match in Chicago. This was the hometown guy, that's the champion that's coming in the main event. So, yeah, it was like the wrestler country was like, oh yeah, Rock or Austin, Rock and Austin. And I'm pretty sure like 90% of that crowd was Austin. And I think that was maybe one of the wrong moves to turn him heel this particular night.
Well, you also have to keep in mind that there was also something much bigger that was supposed to go down at this event, and that this was the night
Here we go.
that actually WCW was actually supposed to invade.
Yeah. If they were ever to, you're right.
Sean frickin' Stasiak, who follows me on Twitter, actually, yes, Dr. Meat, spoiled, revealed the plans. And some think the Austin turn really was a last minute shock.
They wanted to leave the crowd shocked. They wanted to, and they couldn't do it with the WCW guys. So
I mean, the WCW guys that they had.
Yeah, the WCW guys that they had. If you had the actual WCW guys at this time, but they were smart to take that AOL money and sit at home and get paid millions of dollars. But if they really wanted to, they could have easily turned this house against everybody with them coming in and just tearing down everything. And it's pretty much taking over the company at that point. That would have, and taking out their two top stars. That would have started the invasion angle off so hot, but the what if factor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, also, this is Austin coming off his history-making third Rumble win. God, it's what? Oh, dang it! There was something else I was planning to say, and I can't remember.
Now, I think where you guys are coming from, where 19 was maybe the better match, but I kind of okay. So 15 was just kind of clustering and gaga, and it was just. I mean, Stone Cold came out in a freaking short. I mean, honestly. 19, it was a good match. I'll give you that, but it was the ending of a chapter that we didn't know or really appreciated until after the fact. And you could kind of feel that way with the crowd reaction. I mean, yeah, it's Stone Cold and The Rock, but we were kind of out of that generation. This is The Rock and Stone Cold in their prime in the main event for the biggest title with maybe one of the most thunderous crowds of all time. I mean, I would only compare it to maybe, Austin Hogan. at 18.
Rock Hogan.
Rock Hogan, not Austin Hogan.
Oh, yeah, my bad. And that's kind of why I feel this was the best out of their three.
From a crowd participation standpoint.
Yes.
So you're just basing it upon environment, the attitude of the environment that they're around, the crowd. You're saying in this match that we're watching now,
Yes.
the crowd pulled them up to be better performers in this match compared to 19, where it was kind of the end of that era. Because you're right, there was no attitude era guys minus what? Obviously the standard bearer, Undertaker, and Triple H on the card. Everybody else was Angle, Brock, Booker T, those guys, you know. So the attitude era wasn't there. These were the two last gunslingers of that era in the 19
Michael
match.
Jericho was on that card, wasn't he?
But do you consider Jericho part of the attitude era?
Shawn.
Okay, Shawn. Yeah, Shawn. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay. But I kind of see where James is coming from with this match, because this is the height of their superstardom at this point in time. They're in the main event. They're the two top guys in the company. They're fighting for the biggest championship in the company, and they have this raucous crowd that is so hot for these two at this point in time. So you could arguably say the environment, the build, what it is, this is on paper the better match. But if you're looking at it from an in-ring standpoint, the 19 match is better in-ring than this one is.
Yeah. I will agree with that.
Because you look at it, if you even going back to who's on commentary, it's Paul Heyman and Jim Ross, and they do an amazing job at sorry?
I was going to say, Paul Heyman on commentary, completely underrated.
Yes. I think this was my favorite time when when King left and we got rid of puppies and all that stuff, which obviously at this point I'm like a 20-year-old at this point. So yeah, I'm cool with puppies, but I can go to the strip club and see that myself. I don't need it on wrestling programming. You know what I mean? So
you could go to the pet store, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I could go to the pet store and see puppies if I wanted to. But there was just a different feel to Paul Heyman being on commentary for this match that, to me, James, with what you're saying, everything around the match elevated the match, but the in-ring stuff didn't fit with what was going around.
Right there, Rock's mother at ringside.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Mama Rock, she's been a trooper through his career. She's been at pretty much a lot of the events. I mean, she's been a trooper through her whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a trooper through life, fam.
Yeah, man.
If you watch Young Rock.
Exactly.
Yes. But those people broke.
But I will say, big up Johnny.
And this was, of course, at the Houston Astrodome. The other.
Yes.
It was on April 1st, 2001, and attendance was 67,925. And the other matches on this card was Chris Jericho defeating William Regal for the Intercontinental Championship. Taz and the APA defeated Right to Censor. Kane defeated Raven and Big Show in a triple threat hardcore match for the Hardcore Championship. Eddie Guerrero defeated
Underrated match. That match was underrated as hell.
The hardcore match, yeah.
Yes.
The hardcore match was heavily underrated.
Eddie Guerrero defeated Test for the European Championship. Kurt Angle defeated Chris Benoit, and one of them, another clinic of a great match. China defeated Ivory for the Women's Championship. Shane McMahon defeated Vince McMahon in a street fight. Edge and Christian defeated the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys in a TLC 2 match. Dion Sheik won the Gimmick Battle Royal. And Undertaker defeated Triple H to become 9-0. So, top to bottom, this was a great pay-per-view.
Yes.
Funny detail. Every time that there's been an April Fool's Day on a Sunday, there's been a WrestleMania, except for 33, when they had the opportunity to do it.
Interesting. Randy Orton is born on April Fool's Day, too.
I also believe April Fool's Day always... No, never mind, because... Yes, April Fool's Day is always on a Sunday on leap years.
That is interesting.
Well, leap year is my birthday, so I should know that shit.
Yeah, unfortunately...
Happy birthday, too.
Unfortunately, he didn't get a birthday this year. He has to wait another 3.
2024 is coming.
Now, this would ultimately start Stone Cold's failed experiment as a heel during this time. And, the biggest problem I think that with that run was that he wanted to be a heel, but he also still wanted to be Stone Cold. And he couldn't have been both. Am I wrong on that?
I think this is what everybody, or at least the management thought every time anybody brought up the idea of turning John Cena heel.
Yeah. This was their fear, that it would end up like how Austin did. I didn't mind Austin's heel stuff that he did when he turned more comedic and was giving Vince hugs and stuff. I didn't mind it. It just put a different layer on the character of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because if you go back and watch his earlier stuff before he cuts the king, before he has the match with Bret Hart and does the double turn, he's supposed to be a heel, but he's being cheered as pretty much as a face everywhere he goes. He cuts that promo, and the next night on Raw, there's like 54 billion signs that say Austin 316, and it's the most popular shirt in the history of the WWE. Even over the Hulkamania shirt.
Yeah. And keep in mind that Austin's heel run kind of springboarded like Angle's best like character development.
Yeah.
Jimmy got corn.
Like and then especially when they did the invasion angle and how Angle was kind of like messing with Stephanie and like all of that. Like it kind of put that all in perspective. So I mean, without that heel run, none of that happens.
No.
Well, if you notice in the crowd, there's the skeleton foam finger from Stone Cold. I actually have one of those, and the guy that I bought it off of purchased it at WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, it was there. I was at that WrestleMania. It's one of the earliest WrestleManias in history. I think it happened on March 17th. And it's because the Blue Jays obviously play in the Skydome, known as the Rogers Center now. And they couldn't get a date late in March, so they took the earliest date that was available, because when the Blue Jays are not playing there at that point in time before this pandemic. They usually, if Toronto's hosting a wrestling event, and even back in the Attitude Era, Rogers Center or Skydome hosted Raw, hosted even house shows. So easily they were getting 30 to 40,000 people for house shows. And then in 1999, they build what's known as Scotiabank Arena, and that's where WWE does majority of their TV and pay-per-views when they come to Toronto now. And I don't think if they were to do a WrestleMania again here, I don't know if they would get the same numbers like they did before. Because obviously, we know wrestling is hot because coming up next week and the week after, we're going to have wrestling on pretty much every single day of the week.
Yep.
But back in this time with Austin and Rock and all those characters, even the guys like in the Attitude Era during the Monday Night War, just look at the crowd. 67,000 people came to watch wrestling. And this was like, because you have to look at it. I think 16 was in an arena, 17 here in the Astrodome, 18 Skydome, 19 Safeco Field. Then you went back to Madison Square Garden for 20. You were in arenas for 2 more, and then from 23 on, it's been in a stadium. So something must have been clicking for them to continue on doing stadium shows. But at this point in time, wrestling was so hot and everybody was into it. And then I think after WCW, a lot of people and ECW closing, and there was no other alternatives. Other people just kind of turned their nose, or they got older like I did and were like onto other things. And UFC was growing and other combat sports stuff was growing at the time. Like you had Pride and all that kind of stuff. So to me, you could even look at this as the decline of professional wrestling in North America after these two guys had this match.
That's a fair assessment. I mean,
the only way I would push back on that, because I think it changed the business model to make cities bid for it, and these cities be bidding for it. Like prime example, 31 in the Bay, they basically let them use the stadium pro bono just to get the revenue from tourism and traveling. So it kind of became, I think the Astrodome became the thing where, oh my God, we could get more people and we could make it a whole week thing.
Starting with 31, there was this new trend that WrestleMania, Vince had this idea that he wanted to be in the new stadiums.
Before the Super Bowl was.
Yes. That's why it was at Levi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Levi and AT&T.
That's been
MetLife.
a theme for quite some time now. And this is very Bret Hart, Austin 13-esque right here. With the blood and...
He does the same facial as well, like he did in that match with Bret Hart too.
Yeah.
Imagine how much the WWE would be fined today if this was going on today.
What you mean with the blood and stuff?
Yep.
Oh man, like to me, we're simulating a fight in a sense. It's a choreographed fight like you would watch in a movie.
I know, but the idea with hygiene and everything.
Yeah, you mean in the COVID era?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, of course, now you're not doing this. You're not bleeding across a mat and all that kind of stuff. That's not happening.
Like a stuck pig.
I could say that this match maybe didn't necessarily need blood. It definitely made it more dramatic. But it seems like
that's why 3-on-1 James is saying that this match is not as good as their 19 match because they had to do a bunch of other shit to make the match look halfway decent. We had to throw blood. We had to do plunder. We had to do no DQ. We have to do steel chairs and breaking tables and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you just need a straight up match like we were watching with Owen and Bret, where it was just a straight up in-ring 25-minute match where this, and I get because Austin at this point in time is still dealing with his neck issues. So he had to change his whole move set and how he does stuff in the ring because of it. So I understand for the character standpoint of Austin doing all this punching, kicking, and extra stuff because he's limited on what he can do.
Right.
But to be honest with you, it's not needed. It's not the extra stuff wasn't needed.
You also have to keep in mind that Vince had this notion that every Mania had to have a unique moment that made it different than any other WrestleMania. For example, the year prior to this, 2000, for the first time ever, a heel retained the title. 15. I'm not exactly sure if you could say that about 15.
14 was Tyson.
Yes, 14 was Tyson and Austin actually winning the title. 13 was The Undertaker winning the belt. 12 was the Iron Man match. 11 was Lawrence Taylor. 10 was 2 title matches. And 9 was Hogan coming back. And here, if you haven't caught on by now, they're recalling previous spots from previous WrestleMania matches that didn't even involve them.
No, exactly. Like I like the fact that when Rock had Austin in the sharpshooter and they played back to Bret and Austin, that's fine. But then there's some, like you were saying, Scooter, there's some spots in this match that have nothing to do with them, but they're putting it in the match. It's like, were you guys limited on the amount of spots you could do? Did you guys not talk about what the plans of the match were going to be going into it? Like, are we just going into this match cold and we're just going to do whatever we want to do on the fly? Like, that's what it comes across with in this match. To me, it's like we could do so much more if we sat and actually planned out this match and planned our spots out better compared to what we see. But who knows, man?
Well, I will say, Stone Cold after, the Owen Hart incident, he was more or less limited into what he could or couldn't do. And he is coming off, major neck surgery the November prior to this. And, The Rock has always been all gas. He's been go, go, go. So I can imagine where it's, a little bit harder to, have that high-paced, high-velocity match with a guy that can't exactly go as hard as you can. And maybe that's why the 19 match was maybe better, was because The Rock kind of matured a little bit, went a little bit slower. Stone Cold was, using what he needed rather than what he could do in that match as well.
They didn't work in 19, they worked smarter, not harder. In this one, They're working harder, not smarter. That's exactly what's going on here. They're working too hard. Like you said, Austin's coming off the neck surgery, so he's limited on what he can and cannot do. Rock is all gas, no brakes. So he wants to go. And then you get to the 19 match. maturity hits. Plus, the next year, Rock is in there with Hogan, and they have a decent match. And then Austin faces Razor Ramon.
That's an underrated match, if I say myself.
It is. It is an underrated match.
But everybody knows Austin Hogan would have been through the roof.
But look at that. Look at how the crowd is just... They're doing a lot, and the crowd is just eating it up. I mean, they love it.
It's Texas, man. In the South, Texas. In the South, it's Jesus, football, wrestling, no particular order.
You're down right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And it was their rock bottom. I always loved when Rock and Stone Cold stole each other's finishes. It was always a cool little touch. And Stone Cold was their guy, so obviously they were going with Stone Cold. I always found it weird that, Hulk Hogan got that CM Punk Chicago pop in Canada. He wasn't from Canada, and he was the real American, but I guess he transcended everything, didn't he?
But he was still Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah. At 18, he was supposedly the heel. And Toronto.
I mean, 18, he was
legitimate. 18, he was the legitimate heel because he was Hollywood Hogan.
Yes.
But the Toronto crowd, and I was in that crowd, pretty much turned that guy babyface in that match.
I mean, you saw the next night on I think SmackDown. The ovation.
No, they go to Montreal for, I believe it's Raw. I'm not sure if it's a Raw or SmackDown. I'm not sure. And
SmackDown, Rock, Austin, and Kane against the NWO.
Yes, and Hogan gets I believe a huge ovation before he even says anything. So pretty much the country of Canada turned Hulk Hogan into a babyface. And being in that crowd is because majority of us that grew up with Hogan and some of us that went to WrestleMania 6, he was a babyface at WrestleMania 6. Same with Ultimate Warrior. There were two faces at the time. And it was, as a kid, you were either painting your face like the Ultimate Warrior or you were wearing a bandana trying to rip any t-shirt that you had. But at 18, with the crowd turning him, and then the NWO beats up Hogan at the end of the match, and The Rock saves him, and they're both on the stage, and pretty much Hogan's passing the torch to Rock. It was a cool moment, and then he goes on that run, and then he becomes the undisputed champion. Hogan does, and it was a decent run by Hogan. But
it was a transitional run. That's all.
Yeah.
It was a thank you gift, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was Triple H's idea as well.
Yes, and it was announced as Vince's idea.
So Vince was the idea of increasing the vitamins and prayers that night.
Because then he went back to the
red and yellow.
The red and yellow.
Yeah, he goes back to the red and yellow.
But also with Hogan at 18, it's also one. It's something that happened that we never thought would happen again in wrestling, and it was it's like losing the security blanket you've had since you were a baby, and then finding it years later.
You're absolutely right, Scooter, with that analogy.
Being reminded of all the comfort and warmth that it gave you. It was it's that true. That I think is really when we realize the appreciation of Hulk Hogan. Because let's face it, popularity was through the roof, but people crapped all over Hogan's work rate.
Of course.
This is why I picked this match. I love this finish. This was a fantastic finish.
That just all out like assault with the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna steal chair, why wouldn't you do that? You just go and look how the crowd jumped out of their seats. They didn't give a shit that Vince McMahon was on his side. They just wanted Austin. I mean,
but then it also like that when they changed that to a no DQ. That's when they just threw everything out the fucking window.
And like I was saying to you guys before, when my friend said that on this, like coming into this match, that I think that's gonna happen, and then we see it. It's like us at home are like, bro, why? And JR even plays it up so well with his commentary, saying he sold his soul to the devil himself. Why, Austin? Why? And he's just violently beating him with the chair. It's like if this was in the streets, Austin would be arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. But in a match, it's all legal. In a no DQ match, it's all legal. But
now, because at the last minute it was no DQ.
Yeah,
the last minute it was no DQ.
And
and
but
then
look at that. He puts the beer at the head of the Rock, as people think it's but it's a sign of respect. Also, I remember at the time that the big thing about Austin aligning with Vince wasn't necessarily about a heel turn as much as Vince requiring a general for an impending war
with WCW.
Yeah. Which was the start of, like I said, Kurt Angle's greatest run, because he was the ultimate mole. I loved it. Everything about what he did was excellent.
But then at Unforgiven 2001, you got that same CM Punk pop for Kurt Angle in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that's true. And keep in mind, it was right after 9/11 as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna pop for the guy with a broken neck who won an Olympic gold medal in Atlanta, which I was at, by the way.
But that Unforgiven, that was in Pittsburgh. It was the one just after SummerSlam. Of course, Austin would win the belt back on Raw. 2 weeks later.
Yeah. It was just a special little thing for that night, honestly.
Yeah.
What do you think about the stroked version of Stone Cold's theme song?
I mean, you get the two-man power trip.
Which was a promising tag team till Triple H got hurt. That was a promising fucking click.
Yep.
And I mean, did Rock and Austin have a rematch at Backlash?
No, they had a rematch and a cage match the night after this, so Monday.
That's right. A Rock immediately demanded his
rematch. Yeah, we opened Raw that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Austin Triple H against the Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to remember all of Austin's title defenses in this period.
It was Kane had a no disqualification match with with Triple H, I believe, where he broke his arm.
That was a chain match.
A chain match.
Yes, and I believe that was also for the Intercontinental title. And
That's correct.
Kane won. Yeah. And it was Undertaker Austin. And then Austin against Jericho and Benoit.
And
then then Austin and Angle. Austin Angle. I know Rock and Jericho. Oh, Rob Van Dam and Kurt Angle. That's right. That's what I'm forgetting. The fact that Rob Van Dam comes in 2001, part of the invasion, and immediately surpasses, some would say, Rock and Austin in popularity at this time.
Yeah.
I mean both of these always been cool.
I mean, you had Vince come out and friggin' endorse Van Dam.
I mean, Van Dam at that time, like, bro, I was staying up to 3 a.m. watching the Sunshine Network on DirecTV just to watch Rob Van Dam.
That sounds about right.
I remember predicting Spike Dudley would show up for this, and not reading the internet news sites at the time. I believe it was also when Rhino showed up too.
That's right, and Lita. It was basically a triple a 6-man tag triangle.
But it was both
6-man TLC.
Yes.
But it was both the WWE debuts of Rhino and Spike Dudley.
Yeah. Which I get why they did it, but man, it was just like, I think the first one was just, it can't be topped.
I want to ask this question and kind of end it. Did the invasion angle kind of ruin WWE 2001?
No. Yeah, yes. Because the matches that could have happened, that should have happened, you could have easily gotten probably a great match out of Steve Austin and Diamond Dallas Page.
You want to continue?
So you're saying your question is, did the invasion angle that we got hurt the WWE in 2001?
Yes.
It's hard. It's hard. It's we didn't get the names and we didn't get the booking. If we got the names, like what Scooter just said, we would have got a decent match out of Austin and DDP. You would have got a decent match because those matches were hot and fans would want to see it. When you started bringing in the actual WCW stars in 2002 and 2003 and so on and so forth, that run just ended. And if you were able to spend a little money and get a Scott Steiner, a Ric Flair, Diamond Dallas Page, those guys to come in, yeah, it would have. And same with the ECW guys, because you had a bunch of ECW guys that were main event guys in ECW, like Rob Van Dam, like Rhino, like Taz, like Just Incredible. You could have put back the Impact players together and had them go up for a tag team title belt, but it's a yes and no thing for me. It was cool to see an invasion angle, and it could have ended differently, maybe spurning WCW to have its own show on like a SmackDown or something like that. That would have been cool. And no, because it ended up giving us the brand split in the long run anyways.
What about you, Felico?
Oh man, I'm in the yes no camp. Yes, because they didn't get the cats that we thought they were gonna get. No, because some of the best work and best promos from Paul Heyman came from the invasion angle. Like that one where he just like ripped Vince to shreds. It that was real. That felt real. And Angle, and like I said, Angle's best work was this because they didn't know whether they could trust him, and he played it. He played that part too perfect. Like he was like FBI, CIA type shit. You know what I'm saying?
The triple agent, basically.
And that's why I say it's a double-edged sword. But I mean, you got to take the good with the bad. Because to me, at that time, I was up. Like when Angle first got in, oh man, I was all over him. It was just like, dude, that dude is it. Like he was it. And they kind of tried to highlight his wrestling, and I think 2001 it got to show him the character and the fun side and his development, and then that's I think what got him to be the total package from 2002 on up.
Well, I mean, actually, I think Kurt Angle's best work is actually summed up in one single event, and that's King of the Ring 2001. 4 matches.
True.
Including a street fight where he got reamed by Vince for going against him in terms of all this crazy spots. And if you get a chance, I don't know if it's gonna be on the network. It might not be now. But there's I forget what it was. It might have been a Chronicles about Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon, just that match. And they do like a watch along with Kurt. No, I'm sorry. It's the Steve Austin sessions.
Okay.
Oh, the Stone Cold sessions, yeah.
Yes.
And they talk about that match, and then they go to it, and Kurt is talking about all the spots that he was doing with Shane, and the one where the glass doesn't break and he drops Shane on his head, and
it doesn't break
again, and then he has to improvise and throw Shane through the glass so the glass can break. And then they're back in there where he does the cool suplex spot when that glass doesn't break.
And then Vince is like, apparently off camera screaming, "God damn it! Would you stop?"
Yeah. And I think that's where we'll kind of conclude this conversation. Definitely an interesting one to have in the future for sure. Yeah, Mania Madness tournament wrapped up. First 2 inductees, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10. Rock Austin, WrestleMania 17. I should have had music. Damn it.
You were humming the WWE Hall of Fame music.
Yes.
You were.
I know. Also, RVD, shout out Hall of Fame. But my match should have been in there. Angle, Benoit, and Jericho. That was fucking cold. What the hell is wrong?
Yeah, that was a fire match, man. I'm not gonna lie, that was fire. That was a fire match. Yeah.
Like that shit was fire.
Here's our Hall of Fame song.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel about this Hall of Fame. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Wow. I remember the last time I was on here, I was angry. I got over my anger with those guys over at All Friends Wrestling. But man, you bitter, man. Coleco bitter.
Hey, if you know what, if one of my matches had made the second round, I would have been okay. But
Hey,
you know what?
I
I'm gonna
was
say a big fuck you. Oh, no, just play it.
I'm putting cases on all y'all matches.
And
Like I don't even know the match, but I hate the guts.
and thank you so much, Drew, for being a part of this tournament with us.
Hey man, anytime I get to talk wrestling with some cool cats from the south side of the United States of America, I'm all for it, man. And thanks for having me. It's always a treat and a pleasure talking wrestling with you guys, or talking shop, if you will, with you guys. And actually being able to watch these matches back and actually discuss where some of us were at this point in time in our lives watching these matches and how we would have booked them or whatever. I'm always grateful, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, technically, the Bret and Owen match, I wasn't alive.
Damn, man. So okay, so that means me and Scooter are the old dudes in the group.
And Kaliko.
No, I was 10. I was 10 when Bret, like, James was a twinkle in his dad's nutsack.
Wow. I didn't need to know about James's dad's nutsack. I didn't know about that. You know what I mean?
Too much information.
You could have just been a twinkle in James's father's eyes. That would have been the PG version. You're gonna get banned off of Peacock by saying these things.
Back when James was just a sliver of protein.
Jeez.
Joe, what could we find?
Not even the whole embryo. Just half embryo.
Man, James, I know you're gonna ask me where can these people find me. Okay, so my show is called the Gr8ful Yardy Podcast. I do a review called Monday Night Raw in 30 minutes or less. I do an AEW review in 30 minutes or less, and I do a SmackDown review in 30 minutes or less. You can find that show on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor.fm, wherever else you get your podcasts. You can check me out there. On the social media, you can find me on Twitter. That is DWrestling99. On the gram, you can find me at Drew_Wrestling99.
Now, if you don't finish the podcast in 30 minutes, is it free?
Pretty much.
Please.
I will personally deliver a pizza if I don't finish it
with pineapple.
With pineapple. There's nothing wrong with
Wise
pizza.
man says forgiveness is divine, but never pay full order for that pizza.
Nope.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to Drew. Please give his podcast a listen. And as always, you can like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox for us. This is, of course, one of our shows in a week long. The trivia night, our preview and preview of WrestleMania, trivia night, watch along with Becca and Little Mean Kathleen, watch along with Holden Albright, interview with Love Doug, or watch along with TVN, or other review of NXT Stand and Deliver Takeover, and of course on Wednesday and Thursday, the remix with Scooter Dust, live alternative commentary for NXT on the UNB network, and of course the main event, the thing everybody's been waiting for, Saturday and Sunday, WrestleMania live alternative commentary on the UNB network, the remix, Scooter Dust. Did I cover everything, guys?
Almost. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Announcement. Usually, I was talking mad smack about people talking about going to Mania. And yeah, I kind of joined that group. I'm going to be there live and in living color corresponding for the Wrestling with the E. Because at first I was thinking, like, what the hell? And then I was like, wait a minute, I'm vaccinated. What the hell?
Don't rub it in, man. Don't rub it in. The damn rollout in my country sucks ass. Don't rub it in.
I mean, by the time this airs, you're actually already there, aren't you?
Yeah, but it's just, in and out. In and out assassin stuff.
I still have the option on the table of going.
Ooh. Bring it, Scooter. Bring it.
If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment on YouTube Castbox. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, and follow us individually. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You'll find me on my WrestleMania Hot Girl Summer shit at I am Kaliko.
And Scooter.
Of course, you can find me reaching for my Glock. Don't make me pull it, though. Find me on Twitter at ScooterDust, and of course, holding it down for the UNB Network at UNBS Wrestling. NXT TakeOver, The Remix, Stand and Deliver, and
We already
WrestleMania.
did
it. And now it's coming from my voice.
No, I mean, we already did Stand and Deliver. It was a great show.
Hey.
Now it's coming from my voice. In the future.
He said he got a Glock. Don't make him pull it.
But yes, the 6th WrestleMania remix that was fun and already happened. Apparently, I was asleep. But yes.
We didn't do WrestleMania yet.
Well, maybe you didn't.
What? Are we getting into Inception type shit here?
No, somebody jumped into a DeLorean, hit the flux capacitor, and went 88 miles per hour into the future.
All right.
Sounds about right.
So I went 80 miles per hour into my balls.
For our very special guest, Drew, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.